Good luck hacking the Ultimatrix. You'll never—
Greetings, bienvenue, come on in, sit on down. Okay, so we wanted Mega Evolution, we got Mega Evolution, and don't get me wrong, daddy happy. We even got new DLC, Mega Dimensions, which is gonna give us a ton of new forms, some of which not unveiled yet. So it's hard to really cast a net on that whole thing. But if I'm being honest, if I'm being 100% truthful with you, I'm getting a little mega'd out.
You need to leave!
I mean, it feels like Pokemon really got a hit with Mega Evolution, and I don't think any of us are gonna disagree, but I really want to see what else we can do. True, Z moves were kind of disappointing after moving out of Megas, but then going into G-Max after that really felt like we were back in it, baby. Felt like we were moving in the right direction. Fun stuff was happening. We got form changes, we got new and dynamic battle animation that went with it, lore, story, character growth, and then we did terastallization.
And now it's a hack.
I kind of get the Pokemon Company wanting to move back into something that feels comfortable and familiar, but I had to wonder, what comes next, right? So I started looking at other franchises that I enjoy, and as I've said in videos previously, it feels like the Ben 10 diagram and the Pokemon diagram are damn near a circle. So I started looking at Ben 10, and what does Ben 10 do to advance their aliens? What do they do to build more hype, to build more intrigue, and honestly to sell more toys? Well, they went Alien, with the Ultimate Alien run of the show, where aliens were able to take on their most apex form, what evolution had in store for them. And hey, isn't evolution kind of the whole thing with Pokemon? So I started wondering what the ultimate versions of some of the fans' most loved Pokemon could be. Without much further ado, let's hop right into it. Hi, I'm the Thesterninator, but my friends call me Stern. Welcome to the channel. While you're here, don't forget to drop down below, like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff that makes me and YouTube happy, and it's Ultimate Hero time. So what is the difference between Mega Evolution and Ultimate Evolution? I'm so glad that I'm pretending you asked. You see, with Mega Evolution, there are a couple criteria that a Pokemon has to have. They have to have a strong bond with their trainer, and their trainer must also have a Mega Ring, Mega Necklace, Mega Earring, what have you. All sorts of jewelries made with these things. While the Pokemon is also holding a Mega Stone. The origination of this idea was that it came from a meteorite that crashed in Kalos, these stones emitting an odd power. AZ used that power to create the ultimate weapon, which then split the timeline of the Pokemon universe in twain, creating one universe with Mega Evolution and one without. So it's kind of the idea that Mega Evolution has always been there, just not in the universe that we were playing up to the point of it being in game. Ultimate Evolution is a little bit different. The way that I see it, there is a counterpart stone to Mega Evolution. An ultimate stone, one that looks an awful lot like this. Came from space and was discovered that it would evolve Pokemon, but not in the ways that we understand. You see, this stone evolves Pokemon into what they truly would become at the end of their species life cycle, almost acquiring a certain spirit of Arceus, not of evolution as it stands in the Pokemon universe, but evolution as it exists within our own real and tangible world. So I played around with that idea to get this concept of applying real world phenomena onto Pokemon, and obviously, as you can see behind me there, we're focusing first on Pikachu. And why not? Pikachu is the mascot of the series. In fact, I have this strong theory that the reason that we didn't see Mega Pikachus or Mega Raichus until recently is that being that Pikachu is the mascot of the series and Ash's partner Pokemon for so long, the creators of Pokemon kind of wanted to stay away from adding on new forms to the Pokemon. I don't know if it holds any water, but for me it sounds a lot like, hey, we can't make Pikachu too strong. We can't give him any further stuff. G-Max Pikachu kind of stands apart from that to me because it is more a reference to the original design of Pikachu outside of adding a new look to it. So, couple things there, couple different criteria that allow for this to happen. But once the anime moved away from Pikachu as the primary protagonist Pokemon, then we were able to kind of play with the idea of the Pokemon a little bit more. And I'm so glad that we did. Big concern though, how do we make this design not look like our Mega Raichus? Well, I decided to focus it A, on Pikachu, and B, on the energy that this Pokemon emits. Rather than focusing on Mega Evolution being solely a change of the physical body, this form, the ultimate form, is a change of the energy within it. Like it said, it is a portion of Arceus, possibly one of the arms fallen off of this deity Pokemon. But we'll get more into that in just a second. Let's see what we came up with. So allow me to illuminate you on Ultimate Pikachu, the electric mouse Pokemon, pure electric type, but you may notice that that stat balance looks a little off. The idea that I was going for was the idea of natural selection and how there is mutation within the genomes of different animals in the real world that allow them to become hyper specialized in a specific field. Rather than Mega Evolution where 100 stat values are displayed throughout various stats, here the Pokemon becomes hyper specialized. In this particular case, and it is a particular case, speed has gotten the primary value, and I think that's interesting. Definitely something that we're going to keep an eye on as we move into our next Pokemon, because trust me, Ultimate Charizard is going to change this game. Those of you who've been around the channel long enough know my opinions on Charizard, but he's got two different Mega Forms as well as a Gigantamax, and he is... I don't know, I have so many opinions. There's like 6 videos that I have where I talk about it, but when I came in saying I'm going to take some of the fan favorites and turn them into Pokemon, I couldn't just bypass Charizard, so putting all of my insecurities out of the way, we hopped right into evolving Charizard even further. I will say, when I was in elementary school and we were talking Pokemon, I specifically remember thinking, oh, it'd be really cool if Charizard got another form. Oh, how things change, but here we are. So instead I looked at the different forms that Charizard already has as templates that we were going to draw off of, looking at the 2 different Mega Forms as well as looking at the Gigantamax, figuring that these are all variations of what Charizard would eventually become given the opportunity to continue living. So I went on and did that. Made kind of the horns a little bit bigger, made the flames from Mega Charizard X a little bit stronger. I thought it was kind of interesting to give them almost these wing shapes and apply that type of thought process to it. Another thing that I really wanted to explore was the flame on the tail. While that is a big portion of Charizard, not just as a character, but the lore of the character as well. I mean, the idea is if it goes out, it dies. So when looking at the idea of an animal that's able to exist for long periods of time over the course of history, obviously we want to make sure that that flame gets bigger. Those are the Charizards that survive throughout the various cataclysms that happen to the world, right? The ones who are able to keep that fire going, thus having a bigger fire. So I went in making that fire wrap long, on a longer tail, so it's further from the body, which is taking all of these hits from different attacks. So the body is smaller, the neck is longer, the tail is nightmarishly long, like a terrifying dinosaur tentacle. So we went in with that type of idea, that type of build for the design here, and I also wanted to, again, play into a lot of the aspects that we have with G-Max as well. I gave him these big fiery wings, but instead of doing just 2 huge fiery wings, what if we did 4? Almost like a butterfly. The idea of having these smaller segmented wings on the bottom, these larger wings on the top, still having that draconic type of feel to them, plus having the flames that come out of the mouth feel much more like wings, gave him this intimidating type of feel. And the color that we chose to go with for the flames here, which was that rainbow type of vibe, really invited the idea of like Quetzalcoatl and these other draconic deities. Ideas that I was really happy with. It kind of came about by accident, but I ended up being really happy with the way that it looked. Am I a Charizard fan now? God, no. But still, he's here, he's Dragon, and we have grown a little bit more attached. So let's get fiery and let's get wild with Ultimate Charizard, the Flame Pokemon. You'll notice that we actually decided to add the stats to the special defense. Why? because Charizard is already such a menace on the field that I wanted something that doesn't just add to its overall destructive power, but allows it to maintain on the field, allows it to stay just a little bit longer. So while the special attack and speed are already huge portions of its BST, I wanted to build on top of that by focusing on the special defense as well. And I'm gonna say it, look at that shiny. I was beyond surprised at how cool that it worked with just inverting the energy colors there. And I went with a grayish white for the main body because if fire is the life force of this Pokemon, wouldn't it make sense to have the body become more energized by that fire and the physical body become just a little bit more diminished? One of the interesting things about Mega Evolution, and something that I want to emulate with Ultimate Evolution, is the idea that it takes Pokemon who've kind of been forgotten and brings them to the forefront. But here, I wanted to focus instead on some of the more popular Pokemon, specifically, as we've been going through, of Kanto. You see, the lore of Mega Evolution is that these stones crash landed through this meteorite in Kalos. But in this universe, it was the Ultimate Stones which crash landed in Kanto. Thus, the Pokemon that we've been working with have been from the original 151. Now, I'm no Gen 1er, but I did grow up with Gen 1. While I don't think that it's the best iteration of Pokemon, the best generation that we've seen, there is some fondness there. It's what started the whole premise. And so when looking at popular Pokemon, I couldn't miss out on Gengar, one of the most influential ghosts in the early games. Now you may be saying, Stern, Gengar and its line were the only ghost Pokemon in the original game. You're right, but I didn't say Pokemon. I said ghost. I mean, if we look at ghosts within the original games, you have to think of Lavender Town, specifically of the Pokemon Tower, a burial place for lost Pokemon. And while it could be argued, is a ghost of a Pokemon still a Pokemon, I have to think. That ghost that we see, the one of the Mother Marowak who's been looking for its baby, was such an influential aspect in the game. It brought in this idea that yes, there are Pokemon, there are these weird and mystical, strange creatures wandering the world, but there's also something else. There's this other form of mysticism and magic, and I wanted to play into that with this Gengar design. So I looked at the shape of Gengar and thought to myself, how can I make this look like that infamous ghost sprite? I decided to have it floating, arms crossed, so that you can't really see its tiny little nubby arms with this big wispy tail like you see in most cartoon versions of ghosts, and instead focused on the Haunter-esque hands of its previous form to play into those floating hands that we see with the Lavender Town ghost. Ultimately, I wanted the silhouette to be vague enough that it could feel like the Lavender Town ghost, but still feel like Gengar when kind of in the light. There was a lot of fun that I had on this, again focusing a lot more on the energy within the Pokemon than on the Pokemon itself. Part of that came when coloring kind of the teeth and the eyes and these hands, and how I wanted it to feel like there was an energy flowing out of this creature. While it does have a physical body? Is Gengar's body physical? It has to be, right? While it does have a physical body, I'll say, for the moment in the video, I wanted to really play into that energy, that ambient type of flow, and make it feel a lot like some of the memories that we have of those old Pokemon games, because they have a special place in my heart. Even if you're not a person who grew up with the original 151 and Pokemon Red, Green, and Blue, and Yellow, there is something special about that original generation that I wanted to capture here, and I'm hoping that I did. So reluctant or otherwise, say hello to your new best friend, Ultimate Gengar. The colors are a little bit darker, a little bit more saturated, again to play with the idea that this may not be a physical Pokemon. It is the Shadow Pokemon, still Ghost Poison type, with its special attack gaining that stat boost. I love this guy, and kind of adding on that glowy mohawk that we did kind of last minute, I think really intensifies the prankster type of energy that we get from Gengar. And yeah, when we kind of look at the silhouette, it feels vaguely like that Ghost of Lavender Town, playing into not just the actual story that we have in the Pokemon games itself, but the ongoing lore and building of fan interaction that we have revolving around Lavender Town, whether that be creepypastas or just stories round the campfire. Oh, hi, sorry. Just going over some charts here, and it actually looks like a good percentage of you guys watching actually aren't subscribed. That is sad. I mean, not for me. I watch all the videos anyway, but it's kind of sad for you guys, because that means you're missing out on uploads. For those of you who don't know, not only do I do Fakemon mixed with other franchises, I also do pack openings and just random Fakemon videos, as well as a podcast that I just started where I interview a bunch of my creative friends and we talk about what it is to be in this space. It's a ton of fun. I want you guys to be informed. So don't forget to drop down below and subscribe. It's gonna do a lot for me, but it's gonna do a lot for you guys too, and I'll let you get back to the video. Next up, I wanted to give some love to one of my favorite Pokemon, one that's been kind of shafted by evolution and the idea of Mega as a whole. That being Scyther. You may be saying, Stern, Scyther is not a final form. I get it. With Pikachu, you want to do it because it's kind of the mascot of the whole franchise, but Scyther has two different branched evolutions, one of which already has a Mega form. How are we going to make sense with Scyther getting an ultimate form out of all of this? Well, Scyther sits in a very specific point in Pokemon. You see, while it does have two different evolutions, those being Cleaver and Scizor, both of those maintain the same base stat total as Scyther. Ultimately, they're just type swaps of the same Pokemon. It's a weird phenomenon that I don't think any other Pokemon really has. Upon evolving, its stats don't change. Well, they do get rearranged, but the stat total maintains a base 500. So here, I really wanted to be able to see what a Scizor that hasn't had any interaction with these evolving elements would look like. Think about it like this. Human interaction has changed the way that we see animals and that animals have adapted over time, whether that be domestication or extinction. What if there was a future where Scyther was able to just grow on its own, adapt and overcome over the course of time without any of that interaction or these evolving methods? I wanted to do that because while I do love Scyther, again, it sits in a very specific spot in the Pokemon world, one that hasn't been talked about enough, I think. A Pokemon that, while evolving, maintains a lot of its stat totals, but is forgotten because the others just seem quote-unquote cooler. I like Scyther above Scizor and Cleavor. A big point of that may be because I didn't have friends growing up who could play Pokemon with me and trade a Scyther with a metal coat to get Scizor, but that's beside the point. That's for my therapist to decide. When looking at ultimate forms and ultimate evolution, I really wanted to think about Pokemon in a way that we haven't yet. I feel like that is the crux of what these gimmicks are. How do we think about Pokemon that already exist or new Pokemon coming in differently than the way that we've been led to in the past? And I think that Ultimate Evolution is definitely a way of doing so, while also expanding on a gimmick that's proven successful within the Pokemon company already. If they were to adapt something like this into games, I feel like it would really touch for a lot of people who love Mega Evolution, while still feeling like its own independent gimmick that allows for these different form changes. I'm curious what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments. Does this feel like it could be far enough removed to feel like its own gimmick? Or are we just reinventing the wheel with Mega Evolution again? And is that a problem? Is that a bad thing to see something that works and throw a new paint coat over it and say, yeah, here's the new thing? Because I had a lot of fun with these designs, and I will have a lot of fun in the future if we end up touching back on this subject. But I'm curious what you think. Is this fun? Am I being delusional? Let me know down in the comments. I'm sure you will. And while you're there, let me know what abilities this Pokemon and the rest from today's video should have. Like our good friend Tyrion Ya did on our Has Been Hotel as Pokemon video, coming up with ideas for VTV, Voluptuous, and Veilvet. These abilities are phenomenal and way beyond what I would have been able to think up for myself, so thanks! So put whatever you have for hands together for Ultimate Scyther, the Mantis Pokemon. This is the first in our line today to swap out one of its typings, going from flying to fighting, which is phenomenal given that stupendous attack stat. For the Shinyat with more of a Scizor type of look, and you'll see from the size comparison that it's still roughly about where it is. I decided to remove that flying type by going with the idea that this Pokemon over time had adapted to switch out the ability to fly for much larger and more menacing sights. I think it's a cool concept seeing how Pokemon and real-world animals change depending on what they choose to adapt and what mutations apply to their bodies. Maybe we'll do one where it adapts and maintains that flying type, but that'll be for another video. So who is your favorite? Who are you adding onto the team? Let me know down in the comments below. And hey, before you get all the way down there, I want to let you guys know some stuff. Don't click away. I know. You want to end the video, you see that we're at the end, you want to go see whatever craziness PewDiePie or Mr. Beast are cooking up. But let me tell you this. I recently updated the Patreon support perks. So right now, while these names come up on screen of our current supporters, I will let you know that you currently get the Photoshop files for all the videos that we work on by becoming a $15 tier supporter. That's $15 for, what is that, 3 videos a week, over 4 weeks in a month, with about 5 Pokemon-ish per video. That's about 60 Pokemon PSD files. Each one having about 5 layers. That is a lot. That's a lot of stuff that you're gonna get for that. It's a new perk that it seems like a lot of people really enjoy, and I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of it. You also get all the other stuff that you've kind of always gotten with that too, including early videos. But the people who have gotten the early videos the longest have always been our YouTube members. These guys are phenomenal, and they do so much for the community. If you join right now, then you'll be able to have your questions asked and answered in our podcast. I do Stern Conversations. Right now, they're dropping every week. That's where I interview friends of mine who are in the creative space, and you get to take part in those interviews. You get to ask questions and have them answered by people that you're fans of. It's really cool and exclusive to YouTube members right now. Don't forget to drop into our Discord down in the bottom. It sounds like you know where to find me, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye. There's a hair. Is this it? Did I get it? I recorded that whole little ad thing, and I was like, try not to look like there's a hair in your mouth.